How's it going, everybody? I hadn't made a video in a while, so I thought I'll make a video since I haven't posted in a while. Well, I did post. I post my artist spotlight, and then I post another video. Um, Ivor, she wanted to do a cover tune, and so we did that. Of course, I just played a little piano, little strings. She sung and posted it up. That was pretty much it. Uh, that's pretty much it. Let me turn this light on. Uh, okay, that'll help. All right. With that being said, um, this is going to be what I've learned so far. I'm sure you probably know this too. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Few things been happening. First point I want to talk about is the NAM for um, that a few people like Warren Hewitt just posted this his NAM visit. A lot of people are excited about the NAM. I to me never really could get into because of how you had to get access. Even though technically, I guess with the recording studio business, because I'm technically a business, but I'm not. I'm also associated with another recording studio production team. So we could use those credentials to get NAM. I just never. Plus, I'm a member of the Audio Engineering Society. So I just never had the time to even go to those. Even though the Audio Engineering Society hosts events on the same thing with NAM, where the gear is even more beneficial to audio engineers than it would be. I guess it's the same thing. NAM is more about vendors and studios and stuff like that, but a lot of people get access, especially celebrities or people celebrity endorsements and whatever the case. But there are people that have said they weren't too crazy about the NAM and what they were offering this year. At this point, only thing I can really see is going to come out would be maybe they're going to start doing more about Atmos in mixing, and maybe more products geared toward Atmos, since everything's leaning toward the Atmos, especially for movie production and everything else. But music and everything else, everything's going toward Atmos and so forth. That's coming. Other than that, it just really, maybe a company's going to introduce a new microphone here, maybe some new acoustic isolations there, whatever. Maybe some, whatever the case. But overall, if you look at it compared to the day of what we got today, there's so much stuff that we have advanced today, whether it comes to inner audio interfaces, microphones, software, and so forth, that it's really, things would have to be, there would have to be a lot of amazing new stuff to really, because we've got a lot of great stuff already out. And other than that, most people are just looking for vintage or clones or plugins. Anyway, so, but if there was some exciting stuff that you've seen or heard or know about what happened that was presented at the NAM for this year, post them in the comments. Number two, speaking of software, another thing that I found out, SSL and Harrison Mixbus have merged. I don't know if Harrison Mixbus was bought out by SSL or so forth, but because SSL is large of a company they are with their consoles, and most likely they probably bought Harrison Mixbus. So I'm excited to see what they're going to do, because I just got Mixbus version 9. I was going to play around with it because there's supposed to be some way better features in the mixing console. I'm really curious to see how SSL and Harrison Mixbus are going to really see what they're going to develop. So that's coming out. What else in music news? Here's another thing that's solidifying and validate what I was saying about commercial studios, which commercial studios, to me, are the epitome of the ultimate recording facility, are commercial studios, especially the big top ones. Well, from what I read, there was on the news that United Way, which used to be, um, it used to be Ocean Way, United, and so forth, was closing. But then I went to their website and they're saying they're technically still open. But they announced on the news that they were closing, and they had just laid off half their staff or majority of the staff, and they were closing their doors. Now, if this is true, if a major recording studio like Ocean Way, which is basically like all the rest of the ones on Hollywood Boulevard, I think it's 6,000 Hollywood Boulevard or something like that. I've never been to it. You know, you got East West, which used to be the other parent portion of Ocean Way. Alan Sides used to own it. But if Ocean Way, if United, and if they're closing, that which is like, wow, if they're going to close, how many more of the top name recording studios? Because I made a video about how a few months ago about how I believe the DAW and people building recording studios. There's videos on YouTube by YouTubers that are making videos like Epic Home Recording Studios, and some of these people's home recording studios are rivaling the way, even in design, are rivaling a lot of the commercial studios. There's, with the technology and software and DAWs and plugins and everything else, people are developing. People are developing these amazing recording studios that it's like, in actually, if you're doing all this amazing stuff at home, it really does basically reduce the more, or basically just makes you think, well, I just don't need to go to a commercial studio. Even though I think I would love, in other words, commercial studios to me commercial studios are still awesome because it's the atmosphere, the way they're designed. We know that a good commercial studio, you're going to get you're going to get the best quality sound, but people are doing better and better and better at matching that sound at home now. And some of these commercial studios, some of these home recording studios they're just on the same level as a commercial studio. They just are. Mine, including mine, it's on that level, sonically. But one of the advantages, like I said, the biggest advantage to a commercial studio was always the space and the acoustics and the sound, and of course the crew. But there was always the one of the biggest discouragements to a commercial studio was always the price. Period. It's just, most of them are just, they're either forced to close because they got to pay their rent and staff, but a lot of commercial studios, the ones are, and then, they were mostly heavily artists and record label dependent. Well, there's still lots of artists out there that still go to a lot of the commercial studios, but even these commercial studios, a lot of these artists are starting to build and own their own commercial studios. Or not their own commercial studio, but their own personal home recording studios. And, a lot of these recording artists, because of the kind of money they make, can build a home recording studio that pretty much you would think you were in a commercial studio. Some of these artists have recording studios like that. But that's going to do it for this segment. I just wanted to post something. I was trying to think of any other news I can think of, but other than that, once again, those are the big three that I was talking about there. And I would like to get people's comments on their thoughts on the NAMM or all these and stuff like with gear and so forth. Like I said, I'm kind of anxious to see how SSL and Harrison Mixed Bus is going to. I wonder how they're going to do that. And finally, it makes me wonder about the commercial studio business when you have studios like United announcing that they're closing. Because you've already heard a lot of recording studios like the Magic Shop, you know, they closed their door. There's a lot of recording studios, lots of them that have closed down because more and more people have home recording studios and they're doing everything at home, including, you know, and then some people with the right money, they're doing drums and they're just getting everything done at home, and they're just doing it less and less in recording studios. You know, it just makes me wonder. Even there's a place in Nashville called Berry Hill. It just makes me wonder. Now they're supposed to be still steadily busy, but it just makes me wonder. With all those recording studios on Music Row, and Berry Hill and so forth in Nashville, because Nashville's supposed to have like 400 or 500 recording studios. I'm talking because there's just that many country and western artists. But it just makes me wonder, you know, even with LA and New York and other places, about the recording studios, the amount that have closed. And then the point that one of the things that are becoming more and more accessible, even though a lot of people, even though it's even more and more affordable to get a classic vintage large format console, but it's becoming less and less desirable because of the weight and so forth to get one. Most people are just saying, yeah, I would love, you know, as great as a vintage Neve or an SSL or one of those type of consoles are, most people are finding less and less desirable reasons or passionate reasons to buy one to put in their home. I was like, I just don't want a large SSL running, you know, where I got to set up the AC and run 220 and the maintenance costs in case I got bad channels. Can I find someone to help me maintenance it and get it commissioned? And a lot of people just don't want to, you know, they don't even see the need to spend that kind of money when they can invest in a good interface, some good preamps, a good interface, some software, some plugins, microphones, some nice monitors, and a few pieces of gear, a few instruments, and they're up and running. It's like I just don't need, you know, to get it. They're just settled, you know. They get themselves a DAW controller. They just like, I'm not even though these Allen and Heath consoles are way more affordable than a used large format Neve or SSL or API console. These are way more affordable. Even people just, you know, to spend $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 on an Allen and Heath. They just like, I just don't have the room, space, or need to get one of these. Even though I'm glad I got one, because sonically, let me tell you, there's a lot of benefits. There's more pros than there are cons to this, but there are definitely way more pros than there are cons. But that's if you're like me who like to work this type of workflow. So that's going to do it for this video. I just want to let people post something, because I know people like, you just, you know, and I know I've probably lost quite a few of my viewers because I just don't post enough. And I'm going to make another video on why I just haven't been doing it. There's lots of reasons why I haven't been posting, and I'll make a video on that soon. So other than that, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.